Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jae, and guys, today I am announcing that I will be taking part of the Reading Rush this weekend. This weekend is the stay-at-home Reading Rush hosted by Ariel. I think that's her name. Oh my god, I hope that's right. I will link everything below, the Instagram, the details, etc. You can find it in the description below, but I want to go ahead and list out my TBR. And true to form, I have a very ambitious TBR. I doubt that I am going to be getting through all of these books, but here they are. So my first book is going to be Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. So this book takes place in the Regency era, England, and I think it's year 1879. We follow our protagonist, Annabelle Archer. She is brilliant, has gotten into Oxford, but her scholarship depends on her being a suffragette. So she has been tasked with the idea, or rather the target, the Duke of Montgomery, and he's known for being cold and ruthless. And so I'm smelling enemies to lovers sort of idea here. I'm interested to see how it goes. I haven't read a romance in a very long time, and this has come recommended highly by a lot of different people, a lot of booktubers that I watch regularly. So I'm interested to see how it goes. So there is book one. Now, I should mention that I'm not really going to be following reading prompts just because I want to do this mostly out of enjoyment rather than like amp up my anxiety about things. So I want to do this reading rush for pure enjoyment and community in the booktube scene. So my next book is going to be No Longer Human by Junji Ito. Now, this is a bit of a cheat, but I have not finished this book. I'm a little over halfway, just the teensiest bit over halfway. And you know, I put it down because it was very dark and very depressing and very scary, as Junji Ito does, true to form. But I do want to finish this. It's a beautifully drawn book. So many wonderfully scary images. So this book follows Yozo Oba, I think his name is, and all his life he's played sort of the class clown, never takes anything seriously, but for some reason death and tragedy sort of dog his every footstep, especially when it comes to whatever woman he takes as a lover. So it is very dark, it is very serious, and it is very strange. But hello, that's Junji Ito. What else did you expect? So I'm hoping to get through this. There is a prompt on the Reading Rush that says, you know, read a book in one place for the whole day, and that's tough for me. I'm sort of an all over the place sort of person, so I have to constantly switch up my reading place. I don't like sitting in one place for too very long, but I figured finishing up a graphic novel will just do the trick, right? The second book that I'm going to attempt to read in this weekend is going to be Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. Now, this is the sequel to Bear and the Nightingale that Catherine Arden wrote, and if you remember from my previous vlogs, I absolutely loved Catherine Arden's Bear and the Nightingale. So I'll tell you about that book in case there are any spoilers. I haven't even read the back of this book, honestly, because I'm so afraid of spoilers. But the first book follows our main heroine, Vasya. She and her family live in the northern reaches of Russia, in medieval Russia, and originally they follow the old traditions. They leave out offerings to little demons and creatures to keep their house safe. Well, when her mother dies, her stepmother comes into the scene. Her stepmother is heavily Christian and does not want anything to do with these old traditions. And so as she tries to push these old traditions out, there are unforeseen consequences, such as creatures that have been asleep for hundreds of years are now able to come back onto the scene and take advantage of this unprotected household because offerings are no longer set out for the little house demons and saints. So Vasya, as she grows up, as she develops, continues the old traditions the best that she can, and she just goes through all sorts of trials and tribulations. Honestly, it's a beautiful, dark, fairy tale, and it is set in like sort of a wintry forest, and I absolutely loved it, guys. So I'm very excited to get to Girl in the Tower. So the next book, and honestly this is going to be the priority of this reading rush weekend. If I read most or all of this book in this weekend, I'm going to be super happy about it. It's going to be A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. Now, I don't know much about this book, honestly, because I tried reading the synopsis, I tried asking my boyfriend about it, who read it and loved it, and then I tried reading reviews on it on Goodreads and a couple other places. And I think probably why it's so confusing is that it's a high fantasy in the sense that it doesn't take place in our human world. He definitely created a whole other world for this story, but also it is a multi-perspective sort of book, and so I think there are 3 or 4 main characters. Now, what drew me to this book, aside from my boyfriend's glowing review, and this is probably one of his first real high fantasy books that he's read in a long while, and he absolutely loved it. He sped through it, and he compared it to Game of Thrones in the sense that there are high stakes, there's lots of politics, and now, I'm going to say something confusing, but I do think this is more of a low fantasy. It's high fantasy in the sense that it's a completely different and new world that he created, but it's low fantasy in the sense that there isn't a whole lot of magic. Now, I've had experiences with low fantasy books, and it's tough for me because I love the magic. But what I also love is character development, and my boyfriend has promised me that character development is sort of the forefront of this book, and so I don't know. Well, we're just gonna have to find out, but I'm excited to get into it. There are some interesting characters that have caught my eye. For example, there's this one character that has a talent called the long eye, where she can catch glimpses of the future. There's supposed to be another female character in here that is ruthless, and you know, at first she seems like a pampered princess type of character, but then she really claws her way to the top, makes a name for herself all on her own merit. And there are a couple other characters that I'm interested to explore. So those are my books for the reading rush. Now, I fully recognize that this is an ambitious stack. Aside from the graphic novel, which I could probably blaze through in like 2 hours tops, like at most, I doubt that I will get through most of these books. What I'm hoping to do is get through the Junji Ito book and then the Little Bit of Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. If I make it to another book, I'm going to prioritize Bringing Down the Duke. Ugh, what am I doing? I'm just like waving it everywhere. I'm going to prioritize Bringing Down the Duke because, you know, I could use a break from fantasy. Not really, I love fantasy, but a little romance here or there. And I've heard there's a little bit of smut, and your girl likes some smut. I'm into it. Like, I'm shameless when it comes to that. Throw in some smut, as long as it's good, as long as it makes sense for the story, I'm into it. What's wrong with that? So yeah, that will be my like 3rd-ish priority for this reading rush. I'm excited. Maybe I'll read a couple books at a time. I'm not very good at that, so we'll see. But I hope you guys join me on this reading rush, join everyone in the booktube community doing this, because this is a stay-at-home effort where we can all come together, at least via social media, and stay safe in our homes and still entertained and engaged. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that subscribe button, that notification button, so you always know when I've got good things coming to you. Bye, y'all.